All right. Well, hey, welcome one and all to this wonderful webinar on this wonderful Thursday. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes here. We're going to allow people to join after just crossing the hour. So if you need to take a second and get a cup of coffee, we'll give everybody a second. Sorry. Did you just mute me, Kevin? Did it auto mute
Oh,
me? Hopefully that doesn't
I
happen.
did. No. In fact, I did try to see if I was able to mute every participant this without you, but
You did it
maybe.
to me. You did it to
Okay,
me.
my
It's
bad,
going to
my
be
bad. It was not intended.
It's going to be a educational webinar and a little bit of a comedy hour. But yes, as I said, again, welcome to this wonderful webinar on this wonderful Thursday. We're going to give everybody just a couple of minutes to join here. So yeah, grab a cup of coffee, do what you need to do, and pretend that there's music playing.
You want to try to sing, Jeremy?
I keep saying that the first, webinar platform that introduces sort of stock, we are waiting music is going to become the market leader. Why that doesn't exist in Zoom or GoToWebinar or any of these platforms yet, I have no clue. I guess hypothetically, you could have it on your computer, you could play it through the webinar, but I mean, it's way too complicated. Every
For sure,
every every
absolutely.
webinar solution should just have a little button that says like play elevator music. To play elevator music, click here, right?
Absolutely true.
Oh, goodness, goodness. All right. Well, we'll give everybody one more minute uh, and then we'll get started. Ready to go. Just do sort of my stretches while everybody's watching me, judging me as I'm doing my in-chair yoga here. Um, While we wait to begin this, I'll just mention a few housekeeping items. So everybody here is in listen only mode. If you have any questions or have any thoughts on what we're presenting, please share. We have the chat feature, which should be available somewhere in your window. You can chat everybody all at once. You can chat us directly. Again, please capture your comments and or questions. We're not going to do any polls today, so there's no need to talk through that. Really just some Q&A. But hey, it's 103. What do you say? Shall we get started, Kevin?
Let's go, let's go.
Let's do it. All right. Well, hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful webinar on Wisdom Ops for Tableau. My name is Jeremy Blaney, and I am the VP of Product Marketing here at Wiiisdom. I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Kevin, who is a lead solution engineer here at Wiiisdom. Today, we are
Hi,
going
everyone.
to talk to you all about testing smarter, not harder. But before we get into the agenda for the day, do you want to do a brief introduction? Tell people who you are, where you came from, maybe something interesting about yourself to kick it off?
Absolutely. So I'm Kevin Maziel. I was at Tableau 1 month and a half ago, but I did join the wonderful adventure that we have right now with Wiiisdom. Basically because I faced this kind of thing where I was testing a lot for several customers. I did struggle with this kind of things, and I thought like, okay, this is something that we're missing in the market, and I felt like, okay, this is something that Wiiisdom can tackle in a pretty easy way. So yeah, you will see. We'll be doing this in a few minutes during the demo. But first, I will let Jeremy present you the full scope and the full idea.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Also, fair warning, we may hear firecrackers or fireworks from your
Absolutely.
side of the webinar, right? Why is that?
Yeah, I'm based in France. I think you might heard it just before. Yeah, it's like a national holiday tomorrow morning, like tomorrow full day, indeed. And so yeah, it would be some firecracker in the evening, and it's 7 p.m. on my side. So yeah, firecracker might start during the webinar. So don't panic. It's absolutely normal in France.
I'm dialing in from Washington, D.C., where tomorrow is Friday. It's a work day, a fun Friday for sure, but nevertheless, no fireworks will be involved. Yeah, so I'm our VP of Product Marketing here. I joined Team Wiiisdom just about 90 days ago. I joined from Tableau, where I had the good fortune of supporting a lot of different mission sets. Started as a customer success manager, working with organizations on, of all things, governance strategies, building data culture, and more. My farewell tour at Tableau was leading a wonderful body of knowledge called Tableau Blueprint. I'm quite passionate about all of the processes that you need to put in place in order to become a data-driven organization. Like, sure, you need to invest in technology. That's a big part of it, but there's so much more to it. There's thinking about data literacy, there's thinking about data culture, and there's also investing in analytics governance processes, which is what we're going to talk about today. Similar to Kevin, I joined Tableau even prior to that life from Bank of America, where I was a frontline analyst myself, and many of the problems and struggles that we talk about today are problems and struggles that I lived firsthand. And so it's pretty cool to be working for a company where we're addressing real problems and providing meaningful solutions to those problems. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So quick agenda, we'll be together for the next 30, 45 minutes or so, walking through a series of items. The first is the personal and business risks associated with poor analytics governance. After that, we'll talk about the solution. How do you go about automating BI testing and promoting and certifying content at scale? The at scale part is really, really important, right? People can test their BI content, their dashboards, their data sources. They can take that and they can promote it to another place. They can certify it. Like, all of this stuff can be done manually, but if you think about just the volume of asks and the volume of content that we're asked to work with, it's impossible to do that stuff manually. It's impossible to scale without the assistance of robots and automation, and that's what we provide. After that, we're going to show you what this looks like, right? We're not just going to do a bunch of architecture. We're going to actually show you what this looked like by doing a live walkthrough and demo of Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau. And then finally, we're going to share a case study from one of our customers, Red Hat, on how they have reduced testing time from days to minutes by implementing Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau for a couple of their business units. All right, so let's jump into it. I delivered a presentation for the Boston and MIT Tableau user groups last night, and I flew back early this morning. And so hopefully I don't stumble too much on my words. I'm a little sleepy, but I've also had a lot of caffeine, so I should be good to go. But let's jump into it. Beginning with this slide. Every day, people are using BI, content such as dashboards and reports to drive better business outcomes, right? All BI content follows the exact same development process. First, there is an analyst, a Tableau developer, who is collecting requirements for the analysis or the report that they've been asked to put together. Then they develop that dashboard. Once development is complete, they run validations on it to ensure that it is accurate, that the numbers are actually true, that it is functional. When you filter through things, the filters have the expected values and the resulting view returns data. They run validations to ensure that it is secure and that it is performant, right? I always say that a dashboard could be accurate. It could be so very functional, but if it takes 45 minutes to load, nobody's going to stick around to find out. After validation, if all tests pass, then the analyst promotes that content to a production environment. Maybe it's a production site if you're on-prem, maybe if it's a production project if you're deployed on Tableau Cloud. Then revalidation occurs, right? You've taken this thing, you've moved it to a new spot, you probably swapped out your data source from a dev to a prod data source. You need to do revalidation, where you're ensuring that the dashboard is still accurate and functional in this new environment. Finally, the BI content is certified and released. Stakeholders now know that it is good to go and can be used to understand what's happening in the business, to make data-driven decisions, to take action, and all that good stuff. Dashboard creators also follow these steps to support IT-led use cases such as a database migration or a Tableau upgrade. First, there's a developer and an analyst who needs to redevelop the dashboard to accommodate that new data source or that new Tableau feature. Once that's done, again, it's validated. If all tests pass, it goes to production. And then finally, the content is released and certified before it's released. For most organizations, this process, which we refer to as the analytics governance workflow, is very manual and very time consuming. Time is precious, especially for analysts who are just inundated with requests for help. There just aren't enough hours to keep up with the backlog of analytics and reporting needs from the business or IT, while also ensuring that all of that content is fully validated and governed. So what happens? People skip steps, right? They don't have time to complete validation. They don't have time to test the dashboard or that report for accuracy and functionality and all that other stuff. They need to get this content into the hands of their stakeholders as fast as practically possible. And so they skip steps. They skip validation either entirely or in large part. Now, it's usually at this point when somebody's like, well, we could take this and just give it to a team that's located somewhere else. Wonderful. If you had a budget to hire many employees to fully manage this process, that sounds nice in theory, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. Why? Humans are not error-proof. They will inevitably miss mistakes during the validation process. Now let's talk about after BI content is released. Once BI content is released, continuous validation and governance are imperative for staying ahead of issues. Here we've got sort of a snake thing that represents the journey that data has to go through before it hits your Tableau dashboard. At the storage layer, changes in column names and data types cause disruptions, resulting in broken dashboards. When data is processed, transformations and extract refreshes sometimes fail, preventing the data in your dashboard from being updated. Within the analytics environment itself, many organizations describe, sort of the organization of content as the wild, wild west, filtering through duplicate content and potentially outdated analyses is a daunting and very time-consuming task. I mean, if you think about it, if analysts don't have time to run validations and govern content properly during initial development, then they definitely do not have time to do this on an ongoing and continuous basis. It's a simple math problem. If you produce 5 BI dashboards in a week, at the end of a 4-week span, you're now going to have 5 times 4 public math. You're going to have 20 dashboards that you're responsible for looking after in production, making sure all of these issues don't ultimately disrupt that. You don't have time to do it. Again, during development, you certainly don't have time to monitor all 20 things on an ongoing and continuous basis. What's the result of all of this? It's pain that, quite frankly, all too familiar to many of us. We've all felt the pain of not thoroughly testing dashboards during development and neglecting to monitor that content in production. Imagine that you go to access a dashboard to pull the latest numbers for a meeting and it doesn't work. You ping a business analyst, or if you are that business analyst, you get the ping to see what's happening. This person says, oops, something happened to the data source. My apologies, I can fix it, but it's not going to happen in the 30 minutes that you need it to happen for you to have the numbers that you need for your meeting. As painful as this is, I suppose there is a silver lining. At least you know that something is wrong. Unfortunately, some issues are not noticeable until it's too late. Everything looks correct, so you make a decision, you take action, but only later do you realize that the data was incorrect. Poor analytics governance can result in very significant and costly risks. So if this is the result, this is the impact. And I'm just going to talk through a couple of these things. Financial. All you need to do is Google calculation errors with Excel, and you will see a number of examples in which the smallest calculation errors have led to billion or $1 million losses for various organizations. Operational risks can be infrastructure or business related, right? For example, column name changes can break existing dashboards and reports, leading to an operational outage. That's not good for anybody. And then from a business perspective, inaccuracy and errors negatively impact decision-making, process efficiency, and overall productivity. The two that I really like to talk about, though, are opportunity and trust. So opportunity-wise, 2021, Gartner put out a stat that basically said that organizations are spending about 10% of their revenue on data and analytics initiatives. If stakeholders don't trust their outputs because they've been burned by these risks, then adoption suffers. And without adoption, those millions or billions of dollars in data and analytics investment have basically gone to waste. Trust, when people are repeatedly, and it's worth repeating, right? When people are repeatedly exposed to and burned by these risks, they basically adopt old behaviors. They reestablish data silos. They go back to, once again, relying on data downloads for reporting. This fundamentally just increases the risk exposure for the organization across all these categories. And so you end up with this awful, vicious cycle where these risks cause a lack of trust. Because there's a lack of trust, people go back to doing things the old ways. In the old ways, that creates an environment in which these risks can, really thrive. With the thriving, more trust. I mean, it's like I said, it's a vicious, vicious cycle. For more than 10 years, Wiiisdom has been helping customers build trust in analytics and increase confidence in data-driven decision-making by solving the problems that we were just talking about, right? And we don't do the problems, excuse me, we solve the problems. What we do is we streamline and automate the development, the testing, the deployment, and the monitoring processes for analytics, as well as dashboards and reports. And I use both of those terms because of the breadth of products that we deliver analytics ops for. We currently have products for Tableau. Dashboard is a common term, Power BI report is the common term, as well as SAP Business Objects. But because this webinar is specific to ops for Tableau, let's talk about that just briefly, and then I'm going to pass it over to Kevin for, again, that demo and walkthrough. So Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau, again, automates BI testing, and it streamlines that analytics governance workflow, so testing, promotion, certification, and so on, all in an effort to help you minimize your risk exposure, referring to what I showed you previously, and ultimately build trust in data and analytics. Wiiisdom, and you'll see this in a second, is very much a no-code solution, meaning that anybody can build very, very, very comprehensive tests to do many different things, to validate the data visualizations, first and foremost, are 100% accurate and therefore comply with business requirements as well as regulatory reporting in the event that you're in a highly regulated vertical. In addition, and we'll show this, Wiiisdom accelerates regression testing for various IT use cases like database migrations, Tableau upgrades, and server to cloud migrations. Really, I mean, regardless of the scenario, whether it's on the business side or the IT side, Wiiisdom will catch all errors during development or on an ongoing nature once that content lives in production through scheduling and always on testing. The goal is to catch those errors again before they become risks or costly mistakes for your organization. And then finally, after testing is complete, we manage the life cycle. We'll take that content, we'll automatically, promote it and then certify it, all in an effort to deliver trusted analytics at scale. And at scale is really the big theme across everything that I talked about. Anybody can do this stuff manually, but manually doing it allows you to miss errors and, quite frankly, have to make hard choices, which means that you cannot, excuse me, about hard choices about trade-offs, which means that stuff gets missed. So with that, I'll come back in a few seconds to provide a little bit more color on Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau, but why don't I pass this over to Kevin now so we can get a live look.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, when you were saying at scale, it reminded me a lot of the thing that did happen for me when I was creating some dashboard. And you can test it one time, 2 times, several times. You can test a similar dashboard, but the more the merrier. You've got more and more dashboard, and with the time, it become more difficult to really scale. And this is really the point that is making the difference. So, can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, great. So here you are on Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau. It's a desktop application that is really made to do this kind of test at a large scale. So we have here on this page, so the main page, you've got a project summary where you can see all the tests that has been passed before and that will come in the future. So you have like a general summary that you have all the information. And what we'll do is really to go first on really basic test that is the user experience, where you can mimic the experience. Here you can see it on the left side that has been already created, and so you can see the test, and the idea is really to mimic the experience that a classic user of Tableau would have. So you are trying to be sure that the viewer experience of Tableau, that the viewer experience should have, is matching what you did create when you create a dashboard. So what you see here, you will see all the tasks, so one after the other one. And so this is one test. So the test here, first what I'm doing, I'm opening a viz because I want to to work on a specific dashboard here. So I'm opening a viz. After this, I'm playing with a filter that is already in the dashboard. That is here, the filter name is region, and I'm selecting a specific item that is central. After this, I'm playing a bit more. I'm changing, I don't know, like the date. Okay, let's start with the date. I will move this and change this to 1st of January 2020 until the end of the year. So really, the idea is to test this kind of things. And if something is not feasible for XYZ reason, if something is going wrong, like you are trying to select a date between beginning of January 2020 until the end of the year, and you're not able to do it, it will raise an error. So you will have an error that will pop. You will see an issue that will be raised by the software. And so by doing so, you will see directly where the issue is coming. And so we have played a bit with the filter, but if you take the average Joe that is using a dashboard, he will play directly with the different visual that is available. And here, let's take one. So there's a map here, and we are playing with the map and selecting a specific state that are directly on the map. Also, we can go a bit further and be sure that, okay, in my dashboard, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4 different worksheets. I should have the 4 worksheets available directly in the dashboard. If one of the worksheets is missing for a reason that could happen, you should have also an error that has been raised. And also, last but not least, because this could happen quite easily, in fact, you need to be sure that, okay, you can switch from one tab to the other one. And it's also a good way for you to start with one tab of the dashboard and to go to another one, and so on and so on. So there's like 6 different steps. And what I will be doing here, by clicking run test here, I can put my hands up and everything will be running directly. So Wiiisdom Apps for Tableau will launch our browser and will do as you would expect as a viewer. So basically, you see the dashboard. You have the region has been already selected quicker than me speaking, and yeah. I cannot catch up, but yeah, you have seen the different things really quicker than a classic viewer would do. But everything has been done automatically, quickly, and at the end you have something that is really interesting. You've got a report that has been generated. So here, if you click on the report, the last one that we did was the first on the list. You can have full screen approach, and here what we can see, okay, step by step, the 6 different steps I have here. It took me around 6 seconds to do the open viz. Most of the time it's a bit longer because yeah, you are opening the viz, so it needs to load, and there's like the caching happening and so on. And after, you see all of the different steps in average once again to respond, and so on and so on. So also think that something that is incredible, honestly speaking, here you have a screenshot. You can say, oh, cool, I have a screenshot, and so what? Think about it. When you have things that is going wrong in a dashboard, and as Jeremy was saying, sometimes you can see the error directly, sometimes you catch the error because it's more difficult to see that is spread into the data. So basically, by doing so, having this kind of screenshot, like a trail of screenshot of what is happening, you can have a proof that is stored, archive directly on Wiiisdom Apps. And if someone is saying like, oh, I'm sure that like 2 weeks ago, the number was something like this and this and this, you can say, I have a proof. Basically, I have a proof, I have a screenshot that has been created automatically by selecting the different item idea I had in mind. So you have a proof, and everything could, you have really the thing that you can share with the other to be sure that everything was going in a good direction. So let's play a bit with this. I will remove one of the worksheets, And by doing so again, here what I want to do, this is an business ticket here. So what is doing, if there's any additional worksheet in this dashboard, then the three other, an error will be raised. So this is a test to show you that things can go wrong also. I'm showing you the other face of the coin here, but same idea as I was saying. Ends up everything is running directly. All the click are done to open the viz, to play with the filter, to play with the date, to select Texas, and to switch from another tab. Boom! What you see here, test has failed. And because I did remove one worksheet, and so the dashboard was containing one more worksheet than the three available here, and you can see, as expected in the report, where things are going wrong, and you can go to see the detail. Okay, additional worksheet total sales was found. So this is really the basic things that you want to do to be sure that this is an in-development approach. This is something that you need to keep in mind. It's easier to create this when you are creating the dashboard. That is the side project that you need to do also, like you're creating the test on the top, because you want to be sure that everything is going smoothly. But really, this is the idea. This is the ongoing, like on development approach, where you're really trying to test everything and be sure that things are going fine when you are creating the dashboard, and after, when you are scheduling this kind of a test, everything is still going perfectly as expected. So this is and please, people, if you have any kind of question, as Jeremy was saying, please ask question directly. It would be a pleasure to answer them during the demo or at the end, depending on the kind of question. But please don't hesitate to ask your question. Let's go to another kind of test. So here the idea is to compare what we can call the baseline to the actual. So you want to try to see the evolution. And by doing so, here with the regression test, what I will be doing, I can say, okay, this is my Tableau site. It could be Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server, or as you want here. This is not an issue. And what you're doing, you are taking a snapshot saying, okay, I want to select a bunch of items, like a bunch of dashboard and so on, and I want to take a snapshot. And after this, every time I'm rerunning this test, the snapshots, the new snapshots will be compared with the baseline. So you will have the baseline on one side and the actual, and you will see if there's any difference. So this is really a powerful kind of test, because you can be sure that you don't have any regression on things that you are not expecting to change. If you have a finance dashboard that should change like once a month, you can be sure, if you are doing so, you can be sure that, okay, the data is not changing and nothing is changing between, I don't know, the seconds of the month until the end, and only the first day of the month, the data and the dashboard is changing. So here, let me show what could be the result. First of all, where everything is working fine, life is beautiful, and everything is perfect. But sometimes it could be a bit more tricky and a bit more complicated. And here you get an example where the data is going wrong, and the regression test is showing you this. So as you can see, there's 21 dashboard. It's not only one, like you're really pushing this to a large scale. I'm saying scale again because this is the general idea, to be sure that we can spread this to a large number of items. Here, the dashboard this is like the dashboard that is going wrong, and the baseline and the actual are different. And you can see that this is really, really powerful. Here, you can see with the small red dots here that, yeah, there's an issue here. Maybe the line is slightly upper or slightly lower than the actual. Would be really difficult to catch this by the eyes in 20 seconds, but here directly Wiiisdom Ops is able to show you where this is coming from. And if you go a bit deeper here, what you can see, despite the image, what you have the data summary. So you have some information saying, oh, the summary is a bit different, so it might explain why you have this kind of strange results as the image. So because the data behind the scene is different. And here, really, you've got the root cause that is even showed here. You've got a filter here that is sales, that is state, sorry. And the filter on the baseline, you have three value that is, you have more on the baseline value that you have in the actual. So three state disappear from the 49 state that you have in the baseline. So it's a really a good way to catch on the spot where the root cause could exist, and where you could have an issue and where this could come from. So really, really powerful, really interesting, and this can be done as a large scale. And really, this is the approach that we are doing. So there's a lot of configuration that could be done here. As I was saying, there's some dashboard where you are expecting the data to be live or the data to be refreshed every day. So you might not want to check the image here. You may want to say like, okay, the image it should change. Even maybe the data should change also. But if you take the number of columns or the filter or the filter type, the filter value, and so on, you have here a bunch of things that shouldn't change, or really not often. And by doing so, if I'm doing like, okay, I will just unclick this and this, what you will see, this is the kind of test that you can run quite often, that with this kind of test, you can be sure that things are still in a good direction and you don't have any issue in your data and everything is going fine. And so this was a baseline compared to the actual. So it's really the same Tableau site, it's really the same project, it's really the same thing that you're selecting. But often what you are trying to do could be the case also if you are comparing, like in your development process, maybe you have some dashboard that is inside of a folder that is called development, yeah, really fancy, and another folder that is called production or whatever. And so you have two folders where you should have the people that is starting to create the dashboard in the folder development, and when everything is good, they are switching the dashboard to the other folder that is the one that everyone can see. And by doing so, a lot of things could happen in the middle, because maybe you are changing the data source, you are maybe changing something, you are changing a bit of configuration into the dashboard. What you can do here, instead of comparing a baseline to the actual, you can compare here one source that you have here that you are selecting to the target. So here it can be one folder on one side and another folder on the other side, or it could be Tableau server if you go to Tableau Cloud. It can be a Tableau site to another Tableau site on Tableau Cloud. You have a lot of ways to configure this and to play with it. The general idea is the same. At the end, you have a report that is able to show you where you have some discrepancy when you are pushing something from one place to the other one. Ooh, a lot of things has been said here. And last but not least, to finish, cherry on the top of the cake, as we can say. I think, like in English, you should say icing on the cake, something like this.
I was gonna say that was well put. Not exactly how we'd say it in English, but it was good, on the top of the cake. You know, it's good. It could be figurines, it could be icing, it could be a lot of different things.
So often I'm trying to make something that is a French expression and an English one. So yeah, don't feel ashamed with this. It's the mix that I'm doing. So, and last but not least, we have the stress testing. Here, the idea, you want to test your Tableau site. You want to do a lot of things at the same time, and you want to mimic the idea of a lot of people that is playing with Tableau at the same time. So easy to configure. So what I want to do for 60 seconds, what I will do, I will have like 5 people. In fact, it's only a like robot that is playing with Tableau. So you can say, oh, I want to mimic 50 people, because you know that you should have 50 people connected at 9 a.m. on the Monday morning. If you want to mimic this kind of things, I want them to play and interact as someone would be doing with Tableau. You can even select some specific dashboard, say, I want to play with this dashboard, and so on. And you may want to mimic also specific people. So if you want to be sure, like, okay, I want to mimic Jeremy, I want to mimic Kevin that is playing with the dashboard. And so you guessed it, you can add some people because maybe they have some different right to have an access to the dashboard. Also, things really interesting, and it was the case for me indeed when I was working for this customer, who had this kind of internal SLA. Basically, sometimes it's really written somewhere, sometimes it's like an unofficial rules that everyone is following, but you have like sometimes an SLA that is, okay, when you are opening a dashboard, you are not expecting to wait more than XYZ amount of time. Here, I could set this kind of SLA saying, okay, I don't want to wait more than 3 seconds when when I'm clicking somewhere, or when I'm opening a dashboard, or when I'm doing something with Tableau. 3 seconds is acceptable, and also you have like another item that you can configure to say this is like not responding if you take more than 12 seconds. So it could be an idea. You can set here your internal SLA and see how you stand in terms of performance against your internal SLA. The availability goal basically here, when you are like interacting with the dashboard, you have like an error that is popping because the browser is making an error, or the Tableau site is not responding. And this one, I will go on this one a bit after. So for the sake of the time, and I don't want you to watch me not doing anything for 60 seconds, because as you guessed it, the test will be done automatically, so I have nothing to do, but I will show you what is the result of this kind of test. Let me show you one that has been already done. And here, so the test has been run for 60 seconds also. And what you will see, first of all, you have an AppDex, that is Application Performance Index, showing you from a scale to 0 to 1 where you stand on this kind of application performance index. And you can see with all of the different kind of tests where if everything was going good or not. And you can see also how it's spread. And this is like something really interesting here, because you can see with the time with 1 minute, I have done like 987 things, because and I say things in a meaning that, yeah, it could be a login, it could be the setting of the session. Bootstrap request is opening a viz, indeed. So you are opening a dashboard, getting a custom view. So you are doing something with the view. You are getting a view that is a personalized interaction with a viz, and at the end you quit the session. So you clear the session, and so you can see like, okay, what I can see here, first of all, at the beginning, the first thing where the people are interacting and the first login, most of the time it's taking a bit more time than the other test, because, yeah, as you would expect, you get the cache that is setting up. So, and you can see really here the yellow line, that is the SLA, our internal SLA, that you can set up to 3, 5, 6 seconds as you want. So here you can see there's some dashboard that is taking too much time. You will see some bubble that is above this yellow line, and you will be able to guess where this is coming from. The availability, easy, it's when a page is not responding at all. And if you want to dig into detail, you have all of the different things that is happening during the 60 seconds. So a lot of things has been done, but everything was done automatically. You can schedule, because you don't want to be doing this every morning. You have other things to do, like taking a coffee and talk with your colleague for sure. So you want this to be running automatically. This is the main point. This is the key point. And also, you can love this interface, but you don't want to open Wiiisdom apps for Tableau every day. What you want is to have an integration directly, and you want to be notified directly by email. So this can be done also, like the email can be generated directly when the test is run, or you can be also, you can have an integration with Slack or with a webhook. So if you have Teams on your side, you can use the webhook to do this kind of integration and to have the interaction. And so what is the result when you are doing this kind of integration? Let me show it with Slack. Basically, this is the result. So when a test is started, you have the notification, okay, the test has been started, this kind of test and so on. This test has been successful, and so on and so on and so on. And here easily you can see, oh, a test has been started, this one has failed. This is really great, because taking your morning coffee, talking with your colleague on Slack, you can have the information, oh, a test has failed, I need to do something, I need to go directly see where the issue can come from. So this is really powerful. And as I was saying, the idea is to scale, to be able to test massively, and that you have the integration at the end with all of this kind of tool that could be Slack, that could be by mail or other. So really a really powerful tool, and I, if I knew Wiiisdom apps for Tableau before, I would have saved a lot of time.
Yeah, No, thank you so much for that live walkthrough. As I'm changing presenter rights back to me, um, I'll just tell a story. Like I said, I got my start with Tableau at Bank of America. I was in HR analytics. I was basically responsible for our DEI analytics practice. So I was looking at diversity numbers and that kind of thing. And I produced these dashboards that would go to multiple stakeholders. And these dashboards, because they went to multiple stakeholders, had a lot of filters that you could choose from. I could click this, this, and this to get my own customized view. Well, this was going to pretty high level folks in our organization. And so my user testing looked, very painful. I would click one filter value, the next filter value, the next filter value, and I'd see if something returned. Was data even there? I didn't even care if it was accurate. Was data there? And then I would select the next filter combo and so on and so forth. And I would walk through all of these combinations for way too long, just validating that when I release this, that my users were going to have a positive experience, that they were going to see what they expected to see. As you saw, sort of Kevin put his hands up in the air. That is one of many, many, many tests that Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau can automate. So here, I think you can see my screen now. I'm just going to reiterate a couple of points and then let's tell you a quick story. So again, with Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau, just to reiterate, you can confidently build, run, and automate tests for all of your Tableau content, whether it's housed on Tableau Cloud or Tableau Server. Wiiisdom also securely connects to your on-prem or your cloud data warehouse, giving you the ability to run those accuracy tests like we showed you. Every day, analysts and business users are trusting Wiiisdom for analytics and reporting, running validations on Tableau content for all of that stuff that I talked about previously, right? They're running validations for accuracy, for user experience stuff, for security, for performance. You'll find that, people use Wiiisdom as a part of their dashboard and report build out process to catch those hard to find errors again during development. And then the ongoing and continuous testing nature helps people through instant notifications stay ahead of issues that pop up because of various reasons like I talked about previously. Technology leaders we find also trust Wiiisdom for those critical IT projects like database migrations, Tableau server to cloud migrations, Tableau upgrades, and ongoing maintenance. With Wiiisdom, as you saw, regression testing is really easy to set up and really easy to automate, enabling tech leaders to deliver those projects both on time and on budget. And here's the most important part: without disrupting end users. All of us have gone through an upgrade or a database migration or something like that, expecting to get access to the dashboard on Monday, just like we could access it on Friday, and suddenly we couldn't because something went wonky over the weekend. Once all your tests are complete, Wiiisdom will automatically promote that content to your production environment. It'll certify your data source. It eliminates that manual governance work. Finally, Wiiisdom generates an audit trail of test results, both as HTML files that basically live on your computer or as data back in Postgres, ultimately to ensure accountability and help you comply with governance requirements, which is obviously important, but also regulatory requirements in the event that you are in a highly regulated space like financial services, healthcare, life sciences, and so on. Notifications, as you saw, are really just built into every step of this process, right? With support for email, Slack, Teams, and other applications via webhooks. When you productionize these tests and have them scheduled in an always-on fashion, you're going to receive instant notification of those breaks, so that way you can take action before your stakeholder groups or your boss or whoever stumbles upon those issues themselves. And then finally, in the event that you have in your organization really come to embrace DevOps, data ops, or other CI/CD processes and technologies, we offer integrations for that as well. I'm just going to tell you a quick story about one of our customers, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A. But Red Hat is a longtime Wiiisdom customer. Just for your knowledge, they have one of the largest Tableau cloud deployments in the world. As you can imagine, and as I'm sure you know, Red Hat is a provider of enterprise open source software solutions. And so testing is a really big part of their culture. Testing for Tableau content prior to the investment at Wiiisdom, however, was really done manual. manually, and that just consumed really valuable resources in terms of people and time, and it also created opportunities for human error to be introduced into that process. Post-test processes were also manual, which means that after completing a test, which took way too long, somebody had to then take that content and move it to the appropriate production project in their case, so that way stakeholders could use it. With over 5,000 workbooks and 4,000 data sources on Tableau Cloud, as you can imagine, a couple of business units within Red Hat needed a solution that could test, promote, and certify, again, like at scale. And so what this team did is they implemented Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau, ultimately reducing testing time from the days that it was taking previously to quite literally minutes. In addition to the efficiency side of things, Red Hat caught more errors, helping to ultimately build trust in data and analytics amongst the various stakeholder groups, content consumers, and users of those products. It's a really, really fantastic case of how Wiiisdom can honestly just really significantly impact your testing workflows and ultimately boost confidence and data-driven decision making, because that is the net, that is what this is all in service of. If you're interested in learning more about this particular story, head over to our website. Really fantastic case study written out, as well as a link to the webinar that we hosted with them some time ago. And so with that, that's it. We really do appreciate all of you joining here today. We would love to help you get started with Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau. You've got a couple of options. You can visit us on wiiisdom.com. Just remember, there's 3 eyes. If you want to know the story behind the 3 eyes, I'll tell you at some other point. Visit the web, submit a form, or shoot me an email. We'll get on the phone. We'll chat about a lot of different things, one of which is, why does Wiiisdom have 3 eyes in the name? But seriously, you could go to the website, you can contact us there, or you can just shoot Kevin or myself an email. We'll drop our contact information in the chat window here.
And Jeremy, we have 2 questions. So I think I will handle them because they're a bit technical. So let me see if I can share back my screen quickly to show this directly. So we have one question from Ryan saying, are you able to compare the data source or actual value in a dashboard against the database directly by maybe comparing the SQL script that could be executed? So if I can maybe share back my screen quickly.
Yeah, please go ahead. You should be able to steal it from me, or maybe not.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you did it quicker than me.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So you should be able to see my screen, and absolutely this is the case. In fact, I showed you really basic task in the functional test, but the idea, you've got a lot more. Here the list is bigger than what I showed you. And so the idea here, if you want to compare the data coming before, like in the dashboard, okay, I have a specific viz that is doing this kind of calculation, and you have like this kind of result, but I want to compare this to the data that was coming at the beginning of the dashboard. What we can do here, I can say I want to test on like a sales map that is part of my dashboard, and I want to test this comparing to this data coming from I'm doing like really an SQL query that will be done on the data, that is the data that should be coming in the dashboard. And what I'm comparing, I want to be sure that, okay, here state and profit ratio are exactly the same as a state and average profit ratio, but this one is from the data, really the data before the dashboard, and this 2 is coming here. Oopsie daisy, yeah. So the 2 that you can see here are coming from sales map. So really coming from the viz. So yes, we can do this. We can be sure that the data is the same, that the calculation are the same, that the data hasn't been changed, or the calculation did not create something wrong in the middle. And you can assert this with a several step. And this is really with the SQL, with the idea of comparing the data. And there's a second question from Ryan as a follow-up. Even if it's comparing the logical value, like we shouldn't see percentage for a metric that is greater than a 100. For this one, it's the idea of, instead of comparing the data, we can have some rules. We can put some data rules that could be quite logic data rules, but depending on what you want to test, And so here I can take a classic one with this viz here, sales map. What I want to test, I want to be sure that the number of rows are not greater than 50. So it's a way to be sure that you don't have like 55 states in the US because I'm testing this on a sales map. Or you can switch this in another way. I want to test here if the cells are strictly greater than 0, because making a cell that is lower than 0 make no sense. And this is the idea. So really bringing this kind of logical rules to directly the viz to be sure that, okay, this is an assertion that you want to be sure and to test. This is something that you can do. And if you want to be a bit more advanced, what you can do, you can create some things with ifs and else and Boolean operation. And here I'm trying to see if the calculation done in Tableau is pushing the good results. And I can have this kind of more advanced use case. I cannot show it here, but yeah, this is the idea. So you can go from quite easily things to rows, columns, or formula, where you can go a bit more with more advanced things that you can test.
Yeah, there's a comment from Ryan again, just about trying to assess if we can fill the need for QA and UAT tests. I think the bottom line is we don't use those terms in some of these webinars because some people are really familiar with them and some people aren't. We try to just talk in more general terms around validation, but the long story short is absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions from the group? I don't see any more on my end. Do you see any more on your end?
Oh, there's one question. Okay, are you leveraging the Tableau APIs? Yes. Quite frankly, absolutely. We're only using the Tableau API to interact the REST API that is in Tableau, which is the way to do if you want to interact with Tableau in a good way. Also, this is the last version of the Tableau API that we're using, and we have a lot of connection with the R&D at Tableau. So everything that we're doing with Wiiisdom for Tableau is perfectly fine. Everything that you can do will be working fine on your Tableau site, and this is something that we're really trying to be sure that, okay, we follow every new things that Tableau can release now and in the next release. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's worth saying again. So we're officially a Tableau technology partner and have a good relationship with a number of the product team, a number of individuals on the product team over at Tableau. Just a couple of weeks ago, we here at Wiiisdom hosted a LinkedIn Live where we walked through what was included in the latest build of Wiiisdom Ops for Tableau, but it began to provide a preview of what it is that we're going to be releasing later this fall. And the reason that we're able to forecast out you know, and quite frankly, get ahead of API changes and so on and so forth is because of the good relationship that we have with the team over there.
Fully true.
All right.
All right.
Well, I don't see any other questions on my end. Do you see any on yours,
No,
Kevin? Are you good? Okay,
no,
cool.
I think we're good.
Well, again, hey, thanks everybody for attending today. We really do appreciate it. If you have any questions after the fact, again, visit us on wiiisdom.com. There are 3 I's in Wiiisdom, or you can shoot myself or Kevin an email and we'd be happy to respond to you directly or get you to wherever you need to go. That said, I hope you enjoy your weekend, or well, I guess it's not, it's Thursday. Enjoy your weekend if you've got a holiday and you're in France tomorrow, and if not, you know, please enjoy your Friday, which leads into the weekend.
Thanks all. Have a good day. To see the firework, guys.
Exactly. All right.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.